Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the House Local Government Committee meeting. We'll call this meeting to order. Before we do so, I'd like to turn to Chairman Miller just to announce a new member has been assigned to our committee, and he can get into the details of that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's my unfortunate distinction to announce that Representative Flick has left the committee because he had so many committees he had to reduce one, so he left this committee. And the privilege of being able to announce that Representative Jill Cooper has been added to this committee. She saw the light that this was, in fact, the best committee of all committees, and so she'll be joining us, unfortunately, because she has another committee meeting this morning. She will not be able to be here, but she's from District 55 and represents parts of Westmoreland. So she'll be a great addition to the committee, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sure. Thank you, Chairman Miller. And it's encouraging that she realized this is the best committee in the House, so we appreciate her interest and her membership. At this point, I'd like to have Christina call the roll of members.
Chairman Freeman.
Here.
Representatives Borowski. Here. Donahue.
Designation?
Fleming.
Designation, I guess.
Haddock.
I believe he's coming, but designation for now.
Hambidge.
Designation?
Kazim.
Designation?
Madsen.
Designation?
Monroe.
Designation?
Probst.
Designation?
Prokopiak.
I think he's coming, but designation for now.
Salisbury.
Designation?
Sappy.
Sappy will be coming later, but designation for now.
Smith-Waddell.
Designation.
Chairman Miller.
Here.
Representatives Banta.
Here.
Cooper.
Designation.
Fink.
Designation.
Jones.
Designation.
Kozak.
Here.
Kuzma.
Here.
Reichard.
Here.
Rinkavage.
Designation.
Wattrow.
Designation.
Weakneck.
Designation. Oh, you made it. He's here.
Wentling. We have a quorum.
Okay. Quorum being present, we can conduct our business. First order of business is a Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone would please stand, and I call upon Chairman Miller to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chairman Miller. Before we begin consideration of the legislation we have on our agenda, I just wanted to make sure everyone's aware of the new procedures when it comes to making motions on bills. We did send out a copy of the memo that was sent to us by our parliamentarian. There's no need now for seconds in terms of motions, so that might make our meetings go a little quicker. But we will follow the new procedures as was outlined in that memo. The first bill to be brought up was supposed to be Representative Cerisi. He has kindly agreed to let Representative Serrata go first. We'll take you after that, yeah, okay? And then we'll get to Representative Kuzma. So I'd like to call up House Bill 1048 and have the staff read a summary of it. John, if you would.
Okay, House Bill 1048, Representative Serrata's bill, would authorize certain municipalities to repair or replace private sewer or water laterals connected to public systems. Specifically, it would amend Title 53 of the Consolidated Statutes to add a new Chapter 62 entitled Water and Sewer Projects to allow cities, boroughs, incorporated towns, and townships to replace or repair private water or sewer laterals which are connected to public sewer or water systems. The authorized municipalities may perform these actions if they determine that replacement or repair will benefit the public health, public water supply, or public sewer system, and they may use public money or municipal employees in these undertakings. And the bill stipulates that before performing such actions, municipalities shall consider the availability of public money, equipment, municipal employees, and facilities, and the competing demands for these resources. The bill further stipulates that a municipality may not be deemed to be the owner of a private sewer lateral or private water lateral and may not be required to perform any other duties unless determined necessary by the municipality. And I would add that presently municipal authorities already have the ability to repair or replace private sewer or water laterals connected to public systems, and that was provided by Act 44 of 2017, an amendment to the Fiscal Code.
Thank you, John, for that overview. Under our procedure is that the question is, will the committee report House Bill 1048? Is there a motion to report the bill? Moved by Representative Borowski. That then goes on to our amendments. And the first amendment is Amendment A00464. I'm the prime sponsor, so I am offering the amendment for consideration by the committee. And John, if you'd give an overview of the amendment, please.
Okay, Amendment A00464, offered by Chairman Freeman, stipulates that a municipality seeking to repair or replace private laterals shall use best efforts to utilize materials made in the United States. And the amendment would stipulate that if a municipality determines that a particular supply is not made or assembled in the United States, or is made in the United States but not available in sufficient quantities to meet the needs and time of the work authorized, the governing body of the municipality shall adopt a resolution stating the determination and waiving the requirement. And the resolution shall state what action the municipality has taken to comply with the directive. Likewise, if the work authorized under this legislation is contracted, the contractor shall use best efforts to utilize materials made or assembled in the United States. And if a contractor cannot find such materials or cannot find them in sufficient quantities to meet the needs and time of the contractor shall include an attestation stating the determination. And the amendment clarifies that nothing in this section shall be construed to supersede, waive, or provide an exception to a law requiring competitive bidding. And finally, it removes the technical correction, unneeded language, which authorizes municipalities to construct and maintain public water distribution systems and public sewer collection systems. This is language that was inadvertently included in the bill and is not needed.
Is there any discussion on the proposed amendment? Chairman Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This amendment addresses largely, I believe, the concerns that were raised in an amendment that was adopted on the floor last year. I will add the caveat that the maker of that amendment may have a different opinion and weigh in on it separately. But for my part, I think this is generally addresses the issues that were concerned. And so I will be urging a yes vote on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any other discussion? Seeing none, do you want a roll call or just a voice vote?
I think we're okay.
Okay. All those in favor of the amendment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any negative votes? Motion is unanimous and it will be added to the bill. The next amendment to be called up is by Representative Miller. That is Amendment A00558, which deals with provisions of Chapter 56 of Title 53. You want me to call on you?
Introduce it and then I'll speak on.
Okay. Did you want Josh to give it? Josh Boulay will give an overview of it.
Thank you, Chairman. Amendment A00558 by Chairman Miller would move the provisions of this bill into Chapter 56 of Title 53, which is the Municipal Authorities Act.
And Representative Miller, or Chairman Miller.
Thank you. This, as was said, this would move the bill to the Municipal Authorities Act. The belief being that since this issue deals largely with actions that water and sewer authorities already undertake, that this would be better suited in that chapter 56. So having a conversation with Chairman Freeman earlier, at this point, I'm going to pull that amendment right now and have further discussions. We're working on some other things potentially, but that's going to be the plan. We'll pull it, but I at least wanted to introduce it here for now. Thank you.
I appreciate it, and I thank the gentleman. Yeah, we have the possibility of trying to accomplish his intention, I think, in a freestanding bill that we can introduce and have reported from the committee. That brings us to the next Miller amendment, Amendment A00559. Jason, you want to give us an overview? Or Joshua, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Chairman. Amendment A00559 by Chairman Miller clarifies that any action under this legislation which would constitute a conflict of interest would be prohibited.
Okay. Chairman Miller?
Thank you. There's concerns in this bill that were raised last session and still remain, just regarding some potential conflicts that could occur by decisions made by local officials. And this amendment is designed to try to prevent that from happening. And so it's a simple amendment. I think that it would help dispel some of the concerns that are out there by way of what people may believe could happen as a result of this bill going forward without this language. So I would encourage a yes vote.
Any other discussion? I too think it's probably a good addition to the bill, so I would urge a yes vote. I guess we can do a voice vote. All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The amendment is adopted to the bill unanimously. Which brings us to, if I can find my notes, to the final consideration for the bill. Will the committee report the bill as amended? Any further discussion on the bill as it stands? Oh, I'm sorry. Of course, the prime sponsor has an opportunity to speak on it as well. You've come all this way. We might as well let you speak.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Freeman and Miller, and to the committee. I'm not going to take much of your time. This is a bill that passed with bipartisan support last session. You know, we've discussed a lot of the underlying parts of the bill. It just is pretty straightforward, sensible change, making sure that the health and safety of our communities is taken care of, that we don't end up with entire communities falling down due to changes that were frankly overlooked. It was an issue in my borough. They weren't included in this when it was updated years ago. And so they came to me and said, we're really having trouble and we need an option in order to keep our community okay. And so this is what I came up with, and I appreciate a yes vote in your support moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On this bill, I'm going to be a no today, but not because of the intent of the bill. I think the intent of the bill for public safety, public health is spot on. And the problem that I have with the bill is that there needs to be some safeguards put into place. Now, the amendment that was adopted, I think, will help. But I didn't get an amendment drafted for committee, but I'm concerned that we want to have a scenario, we don't want to have a scenario where municipal officials will give favor to certain people and have municipal taxpayer dollars go to pay for someone's private lateral. I think that's something we want to try to prevent. Maybe adding a special assessment to that particular property or the properties to which this would apply, or perhaps a lien. That way it would safeguard the entire community, that taxpayer dollars were not going to fund a private lateral. So with that, I'm going to urge a no vote, but will be a yes vote, hopefully, if we can get that adopted on the floor.
Okay, thank you for your comments. And to my Democratic members, I'm urging a yes vote. I think the bill's in pretty good shape as it stands, although we'll look forward to further amendments and discuss them at that point. So I guess we'll take a roll call.
Chairman Freeman.
Yes.
Representatives Borowski. Donahue.
Designation yes.
Fleming.
Designation yes.
Haddock.
Designation yes.
Hambidge.
Designation yes.
Kazim.
Designation yes.
Madsen.
Designation yes.
Monroe.
Designation yes.
Probst.
Designation yes.
Prokopiak.
Designation yes.
Salisbury.
Designation yes.
Sappy. Smith Waddell.
Designation yes. And we do welcome the attendance of Representative Sappy.
Chairman Miller.
No.
Representatives Banta. No. Cooper.
Designation no.
Fink.
Designation no.
Jones.
Designation no.
Kozak. No. Kuzma. No. Reichard.
No.
Rinkavage.
Designation no.
Wattrow.
Designation no.
Weakneck. No. Wentling. No. 14-12.
Okay, the bill is reported at a vote of 14-12. Congratulations. Thank you for coming to the meeting. We're going to skip around a little on our agenda and ask Representative Cerisi, Chairman Cerisi, if he would please come up. Before we do, I wish to bring the bill up. It is House Bill 375, and ask for Mr. Castelli to give a brief summary before we turn to the prime sponsor.
Okay, House Bill 375, Representative Cerisi's bill, would amend the municipality's planning code to require as a criterion of approval posted signage on land being considered for subdivision and land development, including specific signage size requirements. The bill stipulates that signage shall be a minimum of 9 square feet in surface area and conspicuously posted by the applicant visibly along the external road frontage on each proposed subdivision or land development. And the signage must be posted no later than 7 days after the first official submission of a subdivision or land development application. Must include a description of the posted project and the entity with which the application was filed. The signage type must be of sufficient size and font to read from a minimum viewing distance of 50 feet. And a summary title of the project must have a minimum of 4-inch lettering. And the signage must be installed outside of the public right-of-way and in accordance with all applicable federal and state requirements. And finally, signage shall remain posted until after a decision has been made on the application or it has been withdrawn.
Okay, is there a motion to report the bill? Representative Sappi? Oh, thank you. Okay. Motion's been made that the committee will report the bill. With that, is there any discussion regarding the bill? Or do you want to hear, I'm sorry, Representative Cerisi first to give us an overview.
Thank you, Chairman Freeman and Miller. I appreciate being here today. So we ran this bill last year, and we ran a few amendments in it to clean up some of the processes. And this came from me. I'll be honest with you. I got sick and tired of being in my community trying to figure out what they were doing when I saw a piece of paper that was this big on a stick that sat in the weeds that were this high that a dog maybe had just used to go to the bathroom on. And I remember getting out of the car one day, and there was a piece of plastic over the piece of paper this big. You could hardly read what it said, and literally it was in the weeds. And I thought, how is this fair? I don't care what they're building. I'm not saying not to build. Build all you want. Just put out notice that this land is subject to be subdivided, that we can see as we're riding by at 30 miles an hour, or some instances 50. And that if you want to go and have your say, you can go to the township or the municipality, the borough, and say what you want to say. I'm not saying you don't build. I'm not saying you hold up the project. It's just as a meeting on June the 5th, this land is subject to whatever, come out. You don't come out, that's your business. I don't need the whole project listed by each thing they're going to do. You can go on and find out exactly what that is. Where we removed the provision, it was Representative Adams last year who asked if it's a house, maybe 2 houses, that we don't put that, they don't need to put up a subdivision for that. But when they're putting up a 60, 70, 80 unit apartment building a half a block from your house, you want to know what's going in there. You want to have some say, or they're putting up another convenience store, or whatever it is. So this is more of a common sense. Again, I just want the public to be aware this is about to happen in your neighborhood, and if you choose to say something. And we all know that people like to say and complain, and even when they know about it, they don't go. But now we've taken that step to say, well, you knew about it. This is your problem that you didn't go and say what you wanted to say. So I thank you for consideration of this bill.
We thank you, and thank you for trying to notify the residents of your community of the impending development that they should have a ability to speak on. So appreciate that. Is there any discussion on the bill? Oh, Representative Reicher's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Mr. Chairman as well. Previous life, I was a town planner, so I absolutely understand where this is coming from. I appreciate the requirement that this is on the developer and not on the municipality to have to do that. I can't tell you the number of times that I had people would call in and, I saw on Facebook or I heard that. So I absolutely see where this is looking to solve an issue. The concerns I have is, they're still going to have a municipal employee is going to have to go out and verify the sign's 9 square feet and that it's, on the road frontage, which, if it's a panhandle lot that might be 20 feet wide, that, it might create some issues there, that the letters are 4 inches, that it's out of the right of way, all that sort of stuff. I don't know how to get around that. Ultimately, I think this might create more hassle or create more headaches than what it solves. Absolutely see the need for trying to inform as many people as possible so that they have a say in the process. Just a couple concerns with the process there. Thank you, sir.
So if I could just say something quickly. We went
Sure.
back and forth. We didn't come up with that. We went back and forth with the agencies and all and asked what to do, and that was the recommendation that came back from them, where to put it, how to put it. I think we went to with the organizations we met with, John? Maybe you can speak more to that. It was a year ago, and I really don't remember, but.
Oh, we do go to the Planners Association.
Right, the
for
Planning
comment.
Association came back with those recommendations for us. I just wanted something that could be seen. And that when the car lights hit it, you can see it, it has a reflect, something that you can see it at night. So,
Okay. I'm sorry, Representative Sappi and then Representative Borowski, I think, wishes to speak.
I thank you so much for this legislation, Representative. I strongly support it. In Southern Chester County, we are experiencing tremendous growth, and in a area that has so much open space, and folks really are concerned about it. They're not always paying attention to Planning Commission and Board of Supervisor notices. They can sign up. There are multiple ways for them to find out. However, as we know, folks don't do that. So this added measure of driving by really does catch their notice. And then they start asking questions and participating in the process. So I think it's a really smart move. Thank you.
Representative Borowski.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to Representative Cerisi for this legislation. So, as a former township commissioner, certainly experienced some of the things that my colleague mentioned earlier. People seeing things on Facebook, people calling, people not knowing, and by the time they do see that, usually the process is so far down the road that sometimes the public, it's almost too late for them to get involved. So, I appreciate the transparency, and I think that our local leaders will also appreciate it. And I think that the opportunity, any sort of additional opportunity for the public to have a say in what is happening in their communities is absolutely essential. So I thank you for the legislation, and I will be a yes vote.
Thank you for your comments. Representative Reichert, you had a follow-up?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just real quick too. I mean, is there a mechanism in the MPC for a municipality to reject a plan if it for public comment or a petition or something along those lines? My understanding has always been that if a plan is submitted, it meets the requirements of the Township SALDO, the zoning ordinance, and the MPC. It's almost deemed approved. So we're having folks show up to meetings and express their anger and everything at the elected municipal folks, where they really don't have a power to reject it anyhow. I think this would certainly be a lot more useful if they had that power as well.
Yeah, I just note that it depends on the circumstances of the development. There may be grounds, even though it appears on the face of it to be acceptable, that there are aspects that have to be addressed.
Correct.
And therefore, there could be adjustments made at a meeting to.
Right, there could be recommendations, but as far as
Recommendations and
stopping a project or stopping some sort of development, there really isn't a mechanism within the MPC to do that.
It depends on whether there's a compelling interest that comes into play that might
Okay.
be in violation of their local zoning or something of that nature. And at the very least, I think it gives the public the opportunity to express their opinions on the development, its impacts, and that in and of itself might make the governing board consider other options.
But they would have to approve the plan based off of what's presented to them if it meets the requirements.
If it's a use by right and
Yeah.
it meets the requirement, yes, unless, again, there's some compelling interest that comes into
Correct,
play
okay.
that might cause them to have to make an adjustment or request that they-
Modifications.
Modifications,
All right, thank you, sir.
sure. Yeah, and the bottom line is the bill really helps the public know what's being planned.
Sure.
And its impact. Representative Borowski.
So just to that point, I will say, yes, if it's a by right plan, it certainly becomes more challenging. But one of the things that, as a commissioner, we were always found useful is when the public came out, and a lot of times we were able to modify plans, we were able to work with the developers to make it something more agreeable and amenable to the community. Yes, there should be, there is rights of developers, landowners, but a lot of times when the public is able to participate, it becomes a more agreeable plan and something that the community can rally around, as opposed to it being something that's divisive.
And in line with that, a good developer wanting to be a good neighbor might take a lot of those considerations into mind and say, well, we can make tweaks here and tweaks there, yeah. So, any other discussion or questions? Chairman Miller.
I have a practical question. If a municipality has an ordinance about posting whatever, will this supersede the local municipal ordinance? or will there be conflict there?
I'll ask our legal counsel. They would have to meet this minimum standard in the bill, but they could exceed that if they chose to.
Okay, so,
Once this is established, this becomes the standard.
okay, all right, so they would, if any municipality had already previously adopted it and was in conflict, they would just have to ignore it until they amended it.
They'd have to abide by
Right.
what's enacted into law. But again, they could exceed the minimum that's being placed.
Okay. Yeah, for my part, I appreciated you, Mr. Chairman, and the maker of the bill for the amendments that were offered last session. I think they improved the bill substantially. And I personally, I think the notice to the public is good. And so I'll be voting yes, and so thank you for that.
Thank you. Okay, any further questions or debate? Seeing none, do we need a roll call, or do you think we can just take a voice vote? Oh, okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any nays? The gentleman, Mr. Riker, will be listed as a nay. And that would probably be a vote of, what is it? 25 to 1. So the bill will be reported as committed. Congratulations. Thank you for
Thank you all
appearing
very
today.
much. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next legislation to be called up is House Bill 977, Representative Kuzma's bill. I'll ask Joshua to read a summary, if you will.
Thank you, Chairman. House Bill 977 by Representative Kuzma amends the municipality's planning code to allow zoning hearing boards to use audio recordings as an alternative to stenographic records.
Okay. There is an amendment, too, which we will bring up. It's Amendment A00472 that I've sponsored, so I will offer the amendment to the committee for consideration. John, do you want to go give an overview of the amendment?
Okay, the Amendment A00472 offered by Chairman Freeman would replace the reference to an audio recording in the bill with a recording from a recording device. And it would also add a definition to define the term recording device to be a photographic or video camera, audio or video recorder, or other device now existing or later developed that may be used for recording or transferring images, audio, video, or any combination thereof.
Okay, are there any questions or discussion regarding the amendment? Okay, I'm sorry, Chairman Miller.
For my part, these were some of the issues that we had talked about with the maker of the bill, and I think it's a good amendment.
Thank you. I thank you, and I thank the prime sponsor's support for it as well. That being the case, we'll just do a voice vote. All those in favor of the amendment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any nay votes? Motion carries unanimously, and the amendment is adopted into the bill, which brings us back to the bill in chief. Are there any further discussions regarding House Bill 977? Seeing none, we will go to a vote to report the bill. All those in favor of reporting the bill, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any nay?
We have one nay and Wendy Fink.
Oh, okay. One nay is Representative Wendy Fink. That'll be recorded as a nay vote, which gets us back to 25 to 1. Okay, so the bill has been reported. Congratulations, Representative Kuzma. Sure. This moves us on to a couple of local government commission bills. The first one to be brought up that I will bring up for consideration is House Bill 1185 by Representative Lee James, and I will call upon Joshua to give a brief overview of that.
Thank you, Chairman. House Bill 1185 by Representative Lee James amends the second-class township code to permit townships to appoint a professional corporation or firm to serve as a township manager. It also absolves township managers from actions taken under the legal opinion of a township solicitor.
Okay. We do have present members from the local government commission. Mike? I should note, this is very similar to legislation we passed last time that I served as prime sponsor on that gave the same grant of authority to hire an outside firm to cities of the third class. And this is Julia Fry from the commission.
Yes, very similar to what was passed last session, Act 3 of 2024, which brought that to the cities. Also, Act 110 of 2024 brought similar language into the boroughs. This language is already in the first-class township code, so this is just bringing it into the second-class township code to just sort of make them all consistent. So if anyone has any questions.
Thank you. And I should note, too, as the case with my legislation last session, the idea is to give the municipalities flexibility. It's becoming a little more difficult to find people to fill the position of manager, or if you have a sudden resignation or a death of a manager, this at least could fill the gap until they could do a proper search for a replacement. So I think it gives them the flexibility they need. Any discussion? Seeing none, I want to recognize the presence of Representative Probst, who has joined us. Oh, and Representative Cooper, I'm sorry. Welcome to the committee. Yeah, good to have you on board. Okay, all those in favor of the bill, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any nays? Motion carries unanimously, and the bill will be reported as committed. That brings us to the second bill, Lee James bill today. It's Lee James Day in the Capitol today. And that is House Bill 1195, dealing with the Borough Code. John, I'll turn to you for, I'm sorry, Joshua, I'll turn to you for a brief overview.
Thank you, Chairman. House Bill 1195 by Chairman James amends the Borough Code to provide for expedited processes to fill borough vacancies.
Okay. And Julia, do you want to give us any commentary on the proposal?
Yeah, so this is, again, last session, Act 130 of 2024, put these vacancy provisions in for first-class townships. So again, we're just trying to help in cases where there are vacancies, particularly in smaller municipalities, to expedite that process to get them filled. So that way, the governing body can do the work of the people a little bit quicker.
Okay. Thank you for that. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of 1195, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously, and 1195 will be reported as committed. The next bill that we had on our agenda was House Bill 1282, a proposal that we took up last session dealing with notification of residents when floodplain status changes. It is the chair's intention that we will bring that up at our next meeting, which will be held on May 14th, next week. We found that the insurance department had forwarded to us a couple of suggested amendments, and we want to kind of vet those out before we decide whether they should be offered as amendments or not. So that'll be coming back to us next week. Oh, we could, that's right. Yeah. Before we move on to Representative Malagari's House Bill 1289, the chair does recognize the presence of Representative Tim Brennan, and he has a resolution, House Resolution 212, which I would like to call up. Is there a motion to bring it up? Or to have it considered and reported out? Representative Probst, thank you. Mr. Brennan, would you care to join us and give us an overview of your legislation?
Thank you, Chairman. Always a pleasure to be in front of local government. Anyone with a background in local government knows that local public works departments are the backbone of any strong local government. They manage essential infrastructure, and they do just about everything else. When the roads are bad, they're filling potholes. When storms come through, they're cleaning debris. When leaks happen, they're rushing to fix it. They're up at all hours. They're doing all jobs, oftentimes putting themselves in harm's way to make local government work for all of our communities. When no one else can solve a problem, they jump in and do what needs to be done. They're the unsung heroes of local government. I recently sat down with one of my my public works leaders in one of my various municipalities and talked about trying to find some way to honor these folks. And they're really the most versatile workers across the Commonwealth, and that's what led to this resolution. I think it's a morale boost. I think getting a chance, even as elected representatives, to say thank you to these folks who really do the grunt work of a government that we can all be proud of is worthwhile, and that's why I propose this resolution, because I think they've certainly earned it. These men and women do so much for our communities, and that's why I propose this. So I encourage a yes vote.
Thank you. Thank you very much. John, did you have anything to add, or is that pretty much covers it? Is there any discussion or questions regarding the resolution? Seeing none, all those in favor of the resolution, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any negative votes? The resolution passes unanimously and will be sent to the floor. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That brings us to our last bill to consider today.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, we had one no, Representative Fink.
Oh, that's right, I'm sorry. Please list Representative Fink as a no. I know her standard when it comes to resolutions, so that would be 25 to 1. Okay. Thanks for that clarification. That brings us to the last bill we have on our agenda for today, and the chair calls up House Bill 1289, sponsored by Representative Malagari. Representative, you want to come forward? Is there a motion to report the bill? Oh, Representative Prokopiak. Prokopiak makes the motion. And I'll call upon John to give a brief overview before we hear from the prime sponsor.
Okay, House Bill 1289, sponsored by Representative Malagari, would amend the Special Ad Hoc Municipal Police and Firefighter Post-Retirement Adjustment Act, that's Act 147 of 1988, to further provide for ad hoc cost of living adjustments for qualified local police and firefighter annuitants. The bill would require that a municipal retirement system provide an ad hoc cost of living adjustment, known as a COLA, for any police officer or firefighter who retired on or before January 1st, 2016. And under the bill, the COLA amount would be based on the number of years the individual was retired. $250 a month would be provided for those retired between 10 and 15 years, $375 a month for those retired 15 to 20 years, $500 a month for those retired 20 or more years. And the bill further provides that if an annuitant is eligible to receive a COLA from more than one municipal retirement system, then the COLA would be reduced so that the total number of all COLAs paid does not exceed the amount stated in the bill based on the years of retirement. Further, if an annuitant received a COLA after January 1st, 2002 and before December the 31st, 2025, then the adjustment provided under this legislation would be reduced by 65% of the total amount of any COLA provided to the retiree under the municipal retirement plan and paid in the previous year. The bill provides for the Commonwealth to reimburse municipalities for a portion of the amortized cost of the COLAs. And the bill stipulates that the reimbursements would be made from the general fund. And finally, municipal reimbursement for the cost of the COLAs paid with revenues, the portion that were paid by revenues of the municipality, other than the general pension system state aid provided under the Municipal Pension Plan Funding Standard and Recovery Act.
Thank you. Before we move to any discussion on the bill in chief, there is an amendment being offered by Chairman Miller, Amendment A00509. And at this point, we'll turn to Joshua for a brief summary of the amendment.
Thank you, Chairman. Amendment A00509 by Chairman Miller requires the General Assembly to appropriate enough money from the general fund to reimburse municipal pension systems for all unfunded liability generated by the cost of living adjustments authorized under this bill.
Okay. Chairman Miller, did you wish to make comment?
Thank you. Yes, we've been down this road before, so good to see you again. By the way, did you want to have Representative Malagari?
Oh, sure. I didn't. No, this is your amendment.
Oh, okay.
Fine.
Sure.
We'll definitely call upon the prime sponsor.
I've offered this amendment before, basically saying that when you have you give a pension COLA, the monies aren't coming in to supplement that. And so that creates an unfunded liability. And so that then gets borne to the taxpayers, which I don't think is something that I think is good and helpful. And so my amendment would provide for the prepayment of that obligation so that there would be no cost to the fund and would in fact, I believe, actually help the fund because you would have those monies to invest up front that could then in fact earn more money and would not result to the loss to municipal, the taxpayers of the municipality. So for that reason, I think it's a good amendment and I urge the members to vote yes.
Okay. Any comments from the prime sponsor?
This is not an agreed to amendment. However, I do appreciate where the maker of the amendment is coming from and would be willing to continue to discuss that further if the maker wishes.
Okay. Yeah, and just a note from the chair, I appreciate the gentleman's proposal. I should note that when it comes to pension funds, usually you can be funded up to 80%, and that's considered a safe funding level for a pension fund to be able to provide COLAs and funding. So given all of that, I'm going to recommend a no vote, but I do appreciate the gentleman's thoughtfulness. Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Okay, we'll take a, do you want a roll call vote? Yeah. Okay. Take a roll call vote?
Chairman Freeman.
No.
Representatives Borowski,
Designation no.
Donahue,
Designation no.
Fleming,
Designation no.
Haddock,
Designation no.
Hambidge,
Designation no.
Kazim,
Designation no.
Madsen,
Designation no.
Monroe,
Designation no.
Probst, Prokopiak, Salisbury,
Designation no.
Sappy, Smith-Waddell.
Designation no.
Chairman Miller.
Yes.
Representatives Banta. Cooper. Fink.
Designation yes.
Jones.
Designation yes.
Kozak.
Designation yes.
Kuzma. Reichard.
Yes.
Rinkavage.
Designation yes.
Wattrow.
Designation yes.
Weakneck. Wentling. 14 to 12.
Vote is 14 to 12 against the amendment, so it fails. Representative Malagari, do you wish to speak to the bill in chief? And I apologize, I probably should have called on you before we took up the amendment in that regard.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it, and good morning to everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to speak in support of House Bill 1289. This legislation proposes a targeted, much-needed post-retirement adjustment for our retired municipal police officers and firefighters. These are public servants who have spent their careers protecting our communities, often at great personal risk. I'll remind the committee that we did do this last session. It was a bipartisan vote of 135 to 67 on third consideration in the House. That was back in October of 2024. Feels like a lifetime ago, but it wasn't that so long ago. And in this committee, it passed 21 to 4 last time. So I appreciate the conversations that we had since, and continuing to move in this direction a little bit. So many of these men and women retired that we're talking about today retired before January 1st of 2016. And for years, they have seen their fixed pension incomes outpaced by inflation, medical costs, and the general cost of living. And this bill recognizes that and seeks to correct it through this special one-time monthly adjustment in 2026. And John did a great job in going through what the details of the bill are. So I don't want to necessarily reiterate all of that, but I do want to highlight a couple of things. The adjustments are scaled to reflect the length of time that retirees have been living on fixed incomes, and they include important safeguards to avoid duplicative payments and to account for prior adjustment retirees may have already received. I'm going to speak directly to what I know is central of a concern to the committee, and that's how are we going to pay for this? So the bill is designed with clear fiscal responsibility in mind. It places no new financial burdens on the local municipalities. Instead, what it does is it mandates that the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania reimburses the municipalities for the full cost of these payments. Now, do the municipalities have to pay up front? Yes, but they do get reimbursed in the end. Here's how it works. So the municipalities first provide the monthly adjustment to the eligible retirees. Then they submit the documentation to the Pennsylvania Department of the Auditor General. And then upon review, the Commonwealth reimburses those payments from the state's general fund. The mechanism ensures that the local governments, many of which are already operating under financial strain, can support their revenues without sacrificing the essential public services. And to cover the costs, the General Assembly will need to allocate, through the budget process, a dedicated appropriation in the 2025-26 state budget. So likely as a line item or part of the Auditor General potentially, this could be funded through an unallocated surplus revenue, targeted revenues, or dedicated public safety or pension support appropriation. That's where we get involved as a budget aspect. The cost is finite, it's transparent, it goes down over time, it's only for a year, it's not for 10 years, it's not for the lifetime, it's 1 year. It's to help out these individuals and it's also about dignity and fairness and in keeping a promise. And these retired police officers and firefighters upheld their duty to us. They held their end of the deal. Now we have a duty and responsibility to them as well. And I ask that the members consider this and move this legislation forward with a bipartisan support. I want to send a clear message that we do honor our public servants, we do honor our police officers, and we do honor our firefighters here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, both in their service and in their retirement. So I want to thank you for your time, and I'll answer any questions that anybody
Thank you very much. Are there any questions of the prime sponsor? Oh, sure. Representative Kuzma.
Okay. Thank you for the bill. I believe that I supported it last time. I'm all about helping out the guys that protect us every day. My question is, if we pass this bill, what happens if the legislature does not appropriate funds for it?
If there's no appropriation for it,
then it doesn't happen.
We can't do it.
Okay, so this just gives, and I'm just asking this because I don't know, this just gives us the ability to do it if we wanted to during the budget cycle?
The authorization.
Okay, all right. I wasn't sure if this was a bill that would mandate municipalities to do it and pay it on their own, or if it gave municipalities the discretion, or if as long as it gives us the discretion, then I'm okay with it.
And I should note, Mr. Castelli did point out that there will be an actuarial note at some point. It has been requested. That typically comes once the bill has been considered on second. So, or for second, rather. Any other questions or comments? Chairman Miller.
Yeah, question. So this amount in the three different categories that you have outlined in the bill is a one-time payment, and then it goes back to the original?
It's not a one-time of $250.
No, but
It's $250 for the month of that year. It's an ad hoc post-retirement.
yeah, but then it will be ongoing at that amount in perpetuity.
Mr. Castelli can answer that.
They would get the increase ongoing for the life of their, for their remainder, but it's actualized over a period of years, the amount, the cost, over, I think, 20 years or so. The actuarial note will stipulate all of that.
So in other words, for the instance, the one category is $500 per month, that'd be $6,000 a year, that would be on that person, they would get $6,000 a year in perpetuity, right? So the unfunded actuarial liability based on last year's IFO note was $342 million. Again, that's an unfunded liability, which again has to be paid for, and someone's going to have to pay for that. And so this is the concern. My concern was that if we're going to pay for that, then let's pay for it up front. And that, I think, shows fiscal responsibility, helps maintain the status and protection of our taxpayer, and also honors, as in your words, showing honor to these individuals. Now, I would add, that each of these individuals negotiated contracts, and they agreed to the stipulation of whatever the provisions are in those particular contracts. So, in essence, what you're asking through this legislation is that we then change the stipulation to what they agreed to. So the state and the municipalities that have been operating under the contracts have kept their bargain, my understanding, for years and years, and will continue to do so. But because we're not funding it in my view, a fiscally responsible way, I can't support this, notwithstanding my absolute support for our fire and police. So for my part, I would urge a no vote, and hopefully we can fix this. And I would remind the members that last year my amendment was voted unanimously by the House. So we'll see what happens again on the floor. But for that, I urge a no vote here today. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I would note, too, that this is providing a cost of living adjustment that has not been provided in a very long time. One of the categories is after 20 years of being retired, they've never received a cost of living adjustment. And the cost of living has gone up. So it's an attempt to address that cost to our retired police and fire officials who have served us well in the community. And I think that's a reasonable request. Any other comments by the prime sponsor?
No, I'll just note that, just remember that every single year that passes, the pool shrinks a little bit. And that is one thing we have to look at.
Oh, yeah. And as John pointed out to me right now as a sidebar, under this version of the bill, you have to be retired at least 10 years, where last time it was 5 years in order to be eligible. So that has affected it to some degree. Okay, any other discussion or comments? Seeing none, we'll take a roll call vote, I suppose, on the bill.
Chairman Freeman.
Yes.
Representatives Borowski,
Designation yes.
Donahue,
Designation, yes.
Fleming,
Designation, yes.
Haddock,
Designation, yes.
Hambidge,
Designation, yes.
Kazim,
Designation, yes.
Madsen,
Designation, yes.
Monroe,
Designation, yes.
Probst,
Designation, yes.
Prokopiak. Yes. Salisbury,
Designation, yes.
Sappy. Yes. Smith Waddell.
Designation, yes.
Chairman Miller,
No.
Representatives Banta. No. Cooper. No. Fink,
Designation, no.
Jones,
Designation, no.
Kozak,
Designation, no.
Kuzma. Yes. Reichard. No. Rinkovich,
Designation, no.
Watrow,
Designation, no.
Weakneck. No. Wentling. Yes. 1610.
Okay, the vote is 1610. The bill will be reported as committed. Thank you for your appearance here today, too.
Thank you.
This basically concludes our meeting. The one reminder I'd like to pass on to the members, we are going to have another local government meeting scheduled for next Wednesday, the 14th. So you'll be notified of that in the agenda. So, and again, to Representative Cooper, welcome aboard. Sure. This concludes our meeting. Thank you for attending. The meeting is now adjourned.